apparently there was a building here before this building, and it ended up burning down. And they managed to get everybody out except...
Story motherfucking time. So some time ago, someone shared a story with me that they wanted me to share with you guys. Yay! Can I just take a moment here and just say thank you so much to all of you guys, the subscribers. I am at 35,000 subscribers now, and I am so incredibly happy because when I started this journey, my goal was to just get to 1,000, and I would respect the process, and I'm so grateful. And I'm also super grateful to everybody sending me stories. I love it. Keep them coming. And so now it's time to begin the story. So this gentleman wants me to keep him anonymous, and that is what we shall do. So we can call him Michael. Michael. That was a really strong accent that I threw on that name. Michael. We'll call him Michael. Michael is a medical assistant, and he primarily works in surgery centers and doctor's offices. And he had a very interesting experience at a surgery center when he agreed to work the night shift. So a lot of times at surgery centers, there are rarely ever any overnight cases. They are sporadic because for surgery centers, the ultimate goal is for you to come in and leave. We do very non-serious, a lot of the time elective cases in surgery centers where the patient is healthy, they don't have any comorbidities, meaning any additional diseases that will add to them potentially getting more and more sick and needing additional medical care. You're just coming in to get it done and you're able to leave the same day. So if you're staying overnight, it's planned and it's still not a serious case, but it does require more watching, more monitoring, and still not necessarily serious enough for you to get it done at the hospital. So Michael agreed to do a night shift with a nurse. And during night shifts at surgery centers, there's a nurse, sometimes two nurses, rarely, and a medical assistant or patient care tech, whatever you want to call it. But there's always two people for one patient. So Michael always gets to his jobs early, always early. And so the shift started at 7. He was there probably around like 6:15. Very, very, very different from me. I probably would have gotten there at 7:15. Anyways, that's beside the point. So Michael's in his car. He's sipping on his coffee, tea, whatever he's sipping on. He's just getting in the right frame of mind to get through this night shift, okay? He hasn't even met the nurse yet. And so while he's sitting in his car, he's looking around, taking in his surroundings, just, paying attention, and he notices this one lovely lady who's walking around with a toddler, probably no older than about 4. And it looked like she was lost. And so Michael's like, all right, well, I have time. I could probably stick my head out and help point her in the right direction. And so he puts his window down and he tries to get her attention, but she's not picking up on the fact that he's speaking to her. It's still a pretty crowded parking lot. So he gets out of the car and he walks up to her and he says,
"Hey, can I help you?"
And she says, "Oh, yes, I'm so sorry, I can't find my car."
Michael's like,
"Been there, done that, worn that t-shirt. Do you remember the landmark?"
He's just asking her questions just to help her, point her again in the right direction. She starts talking to him. She starts giving him a little bit more than what he needed. Those people, when they're anxious and they're nervous, they start talking a whole lot and they kind of not willingly, but still end up telling you their entire life story. And you're like, that's not what I came over here for. So eventually, after an extended amount of time of listening to her, he points her, or at least he believes that he points her in the right direction, and she expresses her gratitude. And of course, he looks at the time, he probably only has like a few more minutes before it's time for him to just go ahead and walk in anyways. So she's walking off, and as she's walking off, she turns back and says,
"Thanks again."
"Not a problem. You have a good one."
And he goes back to his car, he grabs his stuff that he brought to be prepared for his night shift, and he starts to walk in and he sees that there's a gentleman standing at the door, just sort of holding the door open. He's looking up and back down at his phone every now and then. And so he walks over and he, greets the gentleman. And so the gentleman says to him, we can say Dr. Rodney. If you're looking for Dr. Rodney's office, they actually have to temporarily move him because they have to do some work on the plumbing. He's actually going to be on the 3rd floor today. I don't know if you had your appointment set for, that building at that time, but just so that you don't miss your appointment, it's here. And so Michael is thinking this guy's probably just standing at the door to help redirect people because obviously whatever's going on in Dr. Rodney's office wasn't something that was planned. So Michael just says,
oh, no. I'm not a patient. I'm not going to go see anyone. I'm working. I'm actually looking for this room.
It's a surgery center. So it's this big office building. And in a lot of medical office buildings, you'll have a surgery center and a bunch of different doctor's offices. And so the guy says, oh, okay, well, that surgery center is on this floor. And you'll have to do this, that, and the other. And that's how you'll get into the surgery center. Very helpful guy. So Michael says, thank you. That was that encounter. But please remember that encounter. Okay? So Michael heads on over to the surgery center. He meets the lovely lady at the front desk. He tells him,
hey, I'm here from registry.
Which is something I'm not sure I told you guys. Registry is not just for nurses. So registry is just like an agency where you'll get a bunch of different shifts for a bunch of different healthcare professionals. And so he says,
my name's Michael. I'm here with registry. I'm supposed to be the medical assistant tonight.
Oh, sign in here. Let me give you a little orientation. This is where you'll change. Yada, 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 yada. He meets the nurse that he's working with. He meets the patient, and he doesn't necessarily have to get a report per se because he isn't going to be directly caring for the patient. He's just going to be helping keep up with the organization, some of the paperwork, some of the filing, just support. Throughout the shift has begun. And let's say within the first couple of hours, he offers to help out with getting the vital signs of the patient, and he's doing what he was oriented to do, the tasks that he was oriented to do for the night shift. Again, he's just there as support, legally you're supposed to have a certain amount of people at an overnight case. And, he's there. And so him and the nurse, who we can call Jessica, they're just having normal conversation. Now, Jessica is not registry. Jessica actually works at that surgery center, and she's familiar with everything, where to find the bathroom. And before the lovely lady that helped Michael left, she ordered them dinner. So they had food to eat. And that was very nice of her. And so Jessica's like,
yeah, she always does that. She's really nice whenever we have an overnight case. Super helpful.
And while they're sitting there, the night progresses. The patient seems to be comfortable. Looks like he's, starting to fall asleep. And Michael asks if Jessica could point him in the direction of the bathroom one more time. Jessica says,
of course, but don't use that bathroom. It's kind of weird over there. I'm actually going to send you to that bathroom that's just a little bit further down the hall.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Goes to the bathroom. While he's in there, he hears a little bit of commotion outside of the bathroom, doesn't really pay any attention. He just assumes that it's Jessica or some sort of cleaning staff or whatever it is, comes out of the bathroom, sits back down. Jessica's in the same position. And so he asks Jessica,
hey, do we have cleaning? I heard some weird noises down there.
What do you mean, do we have cleaning? You mean like a cleaning crew?
Yeah, are we the only ones here tonight?
Yeah, we're supposed to be.
Oh, well, were you just down there, outside of the bathroom?
No, I was here the whole time that you were in the bathroom. You actually weren't down there for very long.
And so Michael sort of brushes it off a little bit, and he was like,
damn, that's crazy. I could have sworn I heard movement outside of the bathroom.
Nope. It's probably just some noise that you heard inside of the bathroom.
Okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
And so he pulls out his little Kindle on his phone and he starts to read, and every now and then they engage in conversation. And then again, as the night progresses, he hears another, I guess, I don't want to say commotion because it wasn't loud, because when he brought it up to Jessica, Jessica denied hearing anything. So he said,
I could have sworn I heard something, I heard movement. Are you sure we're the only ones here tonight? Are you sure there isn't a cleaning crew that comes?
I don't usually work night shift, but no one told me that a cleaning crew would be coming. And as far as I know, the cleaning crew comes and goes before we even start our shift, and right before the day shift starts.
Okay. And you're not hearing anything?
And she denies hearing anything. Granted, Jessica is also looking at, her own entertainment on her phone, so she's probably not even really paying too much attention. And so Michael just finally says it. He's like,
do you know if this place is like haunted?
And he, passes it off as a joke. And so Jessica takes the one earbud out of her ear, and she was like,
actually, I don't want to say, yeah, it is haunted, but I have heard stories.
Okay. What kind of stories?
Truth be told, if that were me, I do not want to hear any of these stories while I am still here at work. Tell me these stories as we are walking out the door, as I am promising myself never to return to this facility. So Jessica begins by saying,
apparently, there was a building here before this building, and it ended up burning down. And they managed to get everybody out except for this one woman and her kid.
And he vaguely remembered speaking to a woman and her child in the parking lot. And he was like,
so what? They think that she haunts the place? What is that?
Jessica confirms. She said,
yeah, every now and then people claim to see her wandering the parking lot, wandering the building with her child, looking for something, looking for her way out, looking for her way free of this area.
And so he asks if she could kindly describe this woman and her child, because he's beginning to panic a little bit. And she's like,
well, I can't really give you details because I've never seen the woman and her child myself, and I honestly don't think that it's true. I think that people get bored and they start to make stuff up and they feed off of what everybody else is saying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And then he brings it up again and he's like,
but has anyone ever described what she might look like to you by any chance?
The most that I could possibly remember is that she's Hispanic and that, the kid is a little boy.
And so, of course, he remembers seeing a Hispanic woman holding a little boy's hand. And so he said,
do you know how many people have said that? Because I feel like that's a really, as vague as you are being, are a lot of people maintaining that description? Because if so, then I'm starting to think...
And, he's looking around a little bit, remembering all the noises that he's hearing that she's not hearing.
That this place, doesn't sit alone at night when it's supposed to be alone.
And, as the conversation progresses, she's not really 100% giving into, the investigation that Michael is trying to start. But she just said,
all I know is that people have claimed to have seen them, to see this woman and her kid. And they think that she's just trapped here and that she's sort of in her own sort of purgatory, just constantly going in circles, constantly searching for her way out. And it sucks. It's kind of sad if that is the case.
And so then Michael just breaks down and tells her the encounter that he had in the parking lot with this woman. And so that completely gets Jessica's attention, and she's like,
oh my gosh, are you serious? You can't tell me that now. We're the only two people here. That's so weird. It's so quiet.
She gets up and starts to flip on all the lights, and she sits back down and she's like,
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Now Michael's suspicious and he's thinking that everybody he interacts with is a ghost. And so he's like,
I remember this one guy sitting at the door, pointing me in the direction of Dr. Rodney's office. Do we know anything about that?
She confirmed Dr. Rodney is a psychiatrist that works on the 3rd floor, and he's supposed to be getting plumbing work done in his office. So they were redirecting people all day today. That was just you just got caught up in the middle of that. And so he was like,
psychiatrist.
And so then he starts to put 2 and 2 together, and as soon as his wheels start turning, Jessica's wheels start turning. And so eventually Jessica's like,
do you think that that gentleman standing outside thought that you were going to go see the psychiatrist because he didn't see the woman and the toddler that you were talking to. So he assumed that you were hallucinating and that you had to have been going to go see the psychiatrist.
And it blew his mind. He was like,
Oh my God, this is so weird.
they're only like halfway through the shift at this point.
He was like, you're cool and all, Jessica, but I don't plan on ever coming back.
The way he's conveying the story throughout the rest of the night, they don't necessarily see anything, but now Jessica's paranoid. They definitely do hear more movement. And now, so it's towards the end of the shift, Jessica said that she's just gonna run to the bathroom real quick, and she would ask for him to come with her, except no one can leave the patient alone, and obviously it's a little strange to ask somebody to come to the bathroom with you. And so while she's down there, he hears her yet, like not necessarily scream out, but yet let out a little bit of a yelp, and so she walks back down and she's like,
I heard it. I heard something. I swear I heard something, and I have yet to see anybody else show up. I just want this shift to hurry up and be over. Completely done.
So now it's the end of the shift, and these two nurses come in. And one nurse asks Jessica, how was your night? How did everything go? And she introduces herself to Michael. And so Jessica was like,
oh my God, you won't believe it. He saw her. He saw that one woman and her toddler that everybody's always talking about.
so they both look at him and they're like,
oh my God, are you serious?
and it's just like confirmed that that surgery center definitely does house a woman and her toddler who are unfortunately trying to be set free. What an interesting story. And I would like to just tell Michael, thank you so much for sharing. And I would be happy if more and more people keep telling me these stories, and I'd also be happy to just keep telling them and just like come up with original endings to them, just invent new characters and just go crazy and go wild with my